Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true. I want to be freaked out.
Hey beautiful people, how you are doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. So this video we want to talk about intuition, listening to your intuition and all that. So this woman came online to tell her intuition story of how her mom intuition saved her life and how she as a mother now she's very intuitive, like things that she picks up things before it even happens to a child. And she wanted to ask people to share their intuition story that will scare people and all that. And guys, people came out strong. A lot of people are sharing their intuition story that will get you like, I personally, I have my own intuition story of how my intuition saved my life. And like, guys, you guys need to hear the story. But I want to know what you think about intuition and do you believe in it? Do you think it's a thing that people should listen to? And do you have a strong intuition story that you think that, oh, that thing, my intuition was what prevented me, that was saved me, that was like your intuition just showed up for you and you are grateful for it? I want to know your own story on this. So with that all said, let's go check out this original creator that got everybody talking. Let's go check out our video and then we'll come back and talk more.
Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true. I want to be freaked out. I want to hear these stories and be like, what? I'll tell you mine. I've been thinking about this a lot because I have a baby son now and I have this weird connection with him, like intuition. He can be in another room asleep, not even make a peep, and I just know when he's awake. Like I always know what he's up to and I always turn out to be right. Intuition's real. When I was 20, I was calling into this radio station trying to win tickets to see Jay-Z. And one time I got through and I won the tickets. But the only caveat was that I had to go downtown to Chicago to their physical office and pick up the physical tickets. Like they weren't doing will call. So I was living with my parents at the time. We lived about 30 minutes away from this office. So I was leaving to go pick up the tickets and it was the middle of January and my mom was like, hey, I think you should take my car. She was driving a bigger SUV. It was like a Honda CRV at the time. And I had like this little Hyundai Elantra. We never had switched cars before. Like I always drove my car. She always drove hers. But this day she was like, take my car. I don't know why it's cold. Just take my car. Her car was a lot nicer than mine. So obviously I was like, okay, I'll take your car. So I took her car, went down, picked up the tickets, like whatever. On my way back, I was on the interstate and it was like freezing cold. And I noticed this semi in front of me. Like he started to fishtail, like the back of his truck was swaying. Like he was struggling to get control of his truck. He was all the way in the left lane. And I decided to go in the middle lane and pass him like on the right, even though you're not supposed to do that. I was just like, I have to get away from this guy. While I was passing him, the back end of his truck swung into the front driver's side door of my mom's CRV. And it hit me hard enough that I spun out across the interstate and crashed into another car in the median. Airbags went off, totaled the car. Ambulances, cops, whole interstate shut down. That's the only time I've ever been in an ambulance and made a full recovery. I was fine. However, the police and doctors said that if I had been in a car any smaller than that CRV, I would have been dead. How did she know? So yeah, stitches with yours.
I want to know yours too down in the comment section. So share your own intuition story down. I have mine, which I'm going to share, but I want to know yours down in the comment section. This video has gotten a lot of people coming to share their intuition story. And we all know we always talk about how women intuition are right, but yeah, I'm really excited to hear other people's story, but I also want to know yours down. Okay, so go down in the comment section and share your thought. But before we go on and share other people's story, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please go on. This is the perfect time. Go on and smash the subscribe button, okay? Please subscribe and click the notification bell so you'll be notified once I post video. And we'll post video every single day. It's a daily channel. We'll post content every day, so you don't want to miss out on the conversations we're having here. Okay, so go ahead and smash the subscribe button. Okay, so let's go your other women's intuition story and then I'll come back and share mine. Okay, but I want to know yours down in the comment section.
Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true.
So my intuition kicked in when I was very, very young. And this is something that has always happened to me. I'm able to predict certain things that will happen before they happen, but I always keep them to myself. And this one is the most memorable one because it still freaks me out till this day. I was around 4 or 5 years old and I was living in Puerto Rico at the time. And my aunt, who lived across from us, asked my dad if she could borrow our family car because she had an appointment at the hospital and she needed a car to get to the hospital. And I don't know why, but as soon as my aunt took that car, I knew that she was going to have an accident and that we were never going to be able to drive that car again. And minutes later, after she left, like about, I don't know how much later it was, but my dad gets a call that my aunt had an accident in the entrance of the hospital and he had to hop in another car to go get her. And we were never able to use that family car again because of the accident. And that still freaks me out to this day. I was like around 4 or 5 years old.
Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true. I want to be freaked out. I want to hear these.
I believe in God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, so that's all going to be up in this story. So anyway, back in the 90s, I would be out late at night for no reason. And when I say no reason, like I would decide to grocery shop at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, 24-hour Walmart. You know what I'm saying? So I would be out late. So one night I get home late just from running errands or whatever, and I decide to check my mail. So back then, there weren't as many gated apartments. You know what I mean? So I go to check my mail or whatever, and our mail room is just this open room. And so I go to check my mail or whatever, and I feel someone watching me. And I just shake it off. I'm like, you're being scary, whatever. And then I kid you not, the Holy Spirit is like, get in the house. So I slam the mailbox shut. I run up the stairs into the house. I close the door, lock it behind me. And then I go to the patio and I kind of like peek through the blinds so no one could see me outside, looking to see who the heck was watching me because I could feel someone watching me. And also the Holy Spirit like fussed at me and was like, get in the house. So I knew something was up. So somehow I go on with my life for the night and I go to bed or whatever. Wake up the next day. My best friend lives downstairs from me and she's like, hey, did you hear what happened last night? And I'm like, no, what? Apparently there was a man outside with a pew-pew. He walks up to one of my neighbors and is like, get in the car. And she's like, no. And he's like, get in the car. And she's like, no. And he ends up hitting her with the pew-pew upside the head. And then he takes off. She runs to the apartment manager. They call the authorities or whatever. Anyway, I would have gotten the car. It was a different time. It wasn't the information age. Like I wouldn't have known better than to get in the car. I would have thought I had better chances getting in the car. So literally, Holy Spirit saved my life the time that I was aware of, because let's face it. And yeah, I'm here today because I listened.
Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true. I want to be freaked out. I want to hear these stories.
So I was dating this guy for like 9 years, and we decided to split up because we really wanted to move to different parts of the country. And he wanted to go to Michigan. I wanted to go to Arizona. We were living in Vegas at the time, and it wasn't a bad breakup. Like we're still really good friends today. And we decided once we split up and he moved and I moved, we decided to go no contact. And we went no contact for about 3 months. And then I had this dream about him. And it was such a weird dream because I could feel what I was experiencing in my dream. I could feel it and I could hear it all in real, like what it felt like real life. So I dreamt that he showed up to my house in Vegas. And I was confused as to like, why was he there? Like, why did he travel across the country? And he was crying and I couldn't figure out why he was crying. And I'm like asking all these questions. And when I could hear him crying, I could hear him in my dream, but out of my left ear, it also felt and sounded like I was hearing it in real life. It was really weird. So I'm like trying to ask him all these questions and he's not saying anything. He's just crying. And so I grab him by his hands and I like take him to the bed. Again, this is all in my dream. I grab him by the hands, I take him to the bed and I lay him down and I'm like big spoon and I could feel like the moles on his back. And then the way that I had my hand in front of his chest, again in the dream, like I could feel the tears coming down like his eye. Like it was weird. So the next day I text him, and again, this is after 3 months of no contact. I text him and I just said, hey, are you okay? And he responds, why are you asking? And I said, I just had this dream about you last night and you were crying and I just want to make sure that everything's good. And he said, do you have time to talk? And I said, yeah, sure. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to leave this event that I was at. It was Super Bowl Sunday. Call me in 5. So I tried calling him and he doesn't answer. And then he says, hey, is it cool if we just text? And I said, yeah, sure. But like, are you good? Right. And he says, it's really weird that you are asking me this question because I watched this documentary on HBO and it's about a band that we both like and we've seen live, the Abbott Brothers, and it was them writing an album while one of the guys was going through a divorce and was talking about one of the song lyrics, or the songs that he was writing, and the lyrics to it was, the song is called I Wish I Was. And the lyrics are basically saying like, I wish I was the candle that you blew out. I wish I was the sweater that you're wearing. I wish I was, basically all these things that are close to her because he can't be close to her anymore. And he says, so I watched this thing last night and it made me think of you, and all I did was cry all night. And all I could say was like, I know, I heard you. I heard you. I felt you. Like, I know. And he, at the time that this was happening, he was in Michigan and I was in Vegas, and I literally felt all of it. It was wild.
Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true. I want to be freaked out. I want to hear these.
Okay, so I had the freakiest thing happen to me when I was living in LA. I was living in West Hollywood off of 3rd Street, which if you know Los Angeles, it's a very popular street for bars, really nice restaurants, but also there's a lot of drunks. One day I lived in a really small building, and one day I was going to go throw out the trash in the dumpster in the back. There was this car there that I didn't recognize, and immediately I got annoyed because I was like, this street is going to hell. Like one of those. And I just got an immediate intuitive hit that I was like, do not engage with this person. Do not engage, do not engage, do not engage. And I could kind of see out of the periphery of my eye that there's a person, seemed like a man, in the front seat, and their posture was like this. And I just immediately was like, that drunk person is going to wake up with the worst neck ache ever. And like, I was just like, you know what? I don't know what they're on or whatever. Like my surface brain is like, I don't know what they're on. They could be dangerous. I have no idea. Just throw away the trash. But you know what I did is like, I was like, I just knew not to look. I knew not to look. My intuition was like, girl, do not look. But what I did, because I'm still me, I threw the trash in the trash can and I slammed the door just to see if they were like a drunk person that was sitting there, and then maybe they would get startled by that. No. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna let this play out, whatever. And I went back inside without engaging or really looking. Cut to like 20 minutes later, there's helicopters surrounding my building, like LAPD surrounding my building. And then the cops come. The cops are surrounding my building, like taped off and everything like that, because the man that was back there in the car had himself, like boop. And that's why he was like this, because he was not alive. And even worse, he had just come from his girlfriend, the girl that broke up with him, on the street. Pow. And also then her dog, it was her and her dog, them on the street, and then drove to my building, which is where she lived when they first met. That's how he knew about the little parking lot, because it's a small building. But I was like, so why our building? That's why, because when they met, she lived in one of the units, and so that's why he chose to off there after he like, yo, thank God I listened to my intuition, because I know that I would need years of therapy if I had seen that. If I had actually seen it. I mean, I was like, I needed some therapy after that period, but like, if I had actually seen it, the I would not. So I thank God that I listened to my intuition.
Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true. I want to be freaked out. I want to hear these.
So I don't remember this story because I was too young to to recall what happened. But my parents tell me about this story all the time. I had to be like less than a year old, like new baby, baby, like can't speak, can't do nothing but cry. That's it. And one night my mom went out with her friends and my dad was at home with me. My dad said I was inconsolable at the end of the night, like fed, clean, everything, like would not go to sleep, but I was screaming on the top of my lungs, like so inconsolable. My dad was like, what the hell is going on with her? So he straps me into my car seat and he takes me on a drive because he's like, maybe driving her around will, you know, tire her out and she'll fall asleep. So my dad, he drives by the club that my mom was at. I don't think he knew that this was the particular club that she was at that night, but he's rolling by and one of his friends notices his car and he comes up to the car and he's like, yo, you need to get your wife. You need to get your wife. She's fighting. she's fighting. So my dad sees her and is like, get over here. Like, get in the car. Like, you're acting a fool. Come on. So my mom comes up to the car. I'm still screaming in the backseat, like still crying, still, you know, freaking. But my mom comes up to the car and comes up to my seat and like into the window and is like, hi baby. And then they say that I looked at her, I just sighed, like I let out a long sigh and I instantly fell asleep. I think that was my intuition, knowing that my mother was in trouble and there was nothing I could do about it, obviously, but cry. So I think intuition is it's so interesting because it is with us from day one. Like we have our intuition from day one. And I just think that's such an interesting story, and it shows how connected I am with my parents, because I think that happened again with my father. Yes, there was another story where I was also inconsolable, and my dad, I guess, had witnessed like a 4-car collision on the highway, and he was helping, like he jumped out and was helping, and my mom said I was freaking out the whole night and she couldn't get in contact with my father. But once she got in contact with him and he was okay, she said that's when I was okay. Like, it's so crazy how, like, you know, we all talk about like mother's intuition, parents' intuition, whatever, but like kids' intuition about their parents, that's also a thing.
Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true. I want to be freaked out. I want to hear these.
I have like many little stories within one situation that happened to me, but
Okay.
I lost my 16-year-old brother about a year ago. Do I have a filter? Sorry. But anyways, I lost my 16-year-old brother. It's about to be a year this month, which is crazy. And I'm saying it like this, like it's nothing, but I was literally crying like just a few hours ago. So anyways, back to the story. Right last year on July 4th, I was going to the park, and every single time that I go to this park, I feel very magical, like very, I don't know, very grounded, very present, very witchy, which is so weird to like describe a park that way, but I feel like I'm in my zone, and I'm very intuitive when I'm there. So it's probably why I like going there so much. But anyways, I was sitting there with my boyfriend on that particular day, and I had just finished moving from Florida to New York, and I've lived here before, by the way, but I was living in Florida for the past 3 years, and my life just felt so stagnant for some reason, and I was living the same day every single day. So coming back to New York was already a change in itself, so I was already feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So I went to the park just trying to ground myself, trying to make myself feel better. And when I'm there with my boyfriend, there's this butterfly that comes towards me, and I don't think much of it, but I'm like, oh my god, like that is such a cute butterfly, and it sits right here. And I'm like, okay, like that's so weird. I'm looking at it and I'm like, that is so weird. And the butterfly goes away, and then the butterfly comes back right on my shoulder. And I just find it really weird that my boyfriend is literally right next to me and she only comes to me. I felt so special, but at the same time, I turned to Georgie and I felt very emotional and I start crying. I couldn't understand why I felt so emotional. Like I felt so much during that time. And it was literally around the same time, but last year. Um, so yeah, I started crying immediately, and it would not leave me for like the for like 10 minutes, I'm gonna say. The butterfly just kept going back and forth on my shoulder. I even took a picture and I was crying. I turned to Georgie and I'm like, Georgie, I just feel like this means that my life is going to change. Like I'm not gonna continue living the same life anymore as I did for the past 3 years. Like something is going to drastically change in my life. And I felt and I sat with it. And I felt like I was mourning like a chapter of my life, which is weird that I bring those words up. Essentially, that's kind of what I lived through, and that was one of the first signs that told me about my little brother. I also kept having dreams about not letting my little brother go out, which I didn't think anything much of it. And I'm just like, maybe it's because I keep watching that creator, because it was a certain creator. And this creator talks about taking care of your kids and just protecting your kids and disciplining your kids. And in my dream, it was her voice in the background talking about disciplining your kids, but showing my little brother, which was so weird. It was so weird. Anyways, another story that I have was that I was during that month, I'm gonna say a week before he died. I was doing a tarot reading with my best friend because she is a tarot reader and an astrologer. And I do these monthly readings where I want to know like the themes that are gonna happen in my life during that month, just as a form of guidance. And during that specific reading, card comes up. And I'm just like that's weird. I didn't think anything of it, but keep in mind my best friend still had not explained much about it because I think she was also trying to understand. I feel like this was one of those moments where she was questioning her capabilities, and so was I. I was just like, okay, like, are you sure? Like, it was just one of those moments, and we've had plenty of those moments, and she's right every single time. It's crazy. It's so crazy how people just have that ability, but we were there talking. And just as she was about to explain the card, I was about to say my little brother, my dog starts crying, like crying, like, and I'm just like, oh my God, like what's going on? And he's shaking and he couldn't really move. And I'm like, she's literally about to explain the death card. We have to stop the entire reading. And that was the card that she didn't get to. So we stopped the entire reading. We had to tend to my dog. Turns out I ended up going to the vet that night. And I was just so distracted through all of that that we never went back to the reading, nor we spoke about it or anything. Like it was just one of those moments where that happened and something else happened to that first thing from like unraveling. I guess like from preventing me from finding out the truth. Oh, well, not the truth, but from what was about to happen in my life, which I questioned that. But maybe that was just my guides protecting me in a way. Another story that I have is that on that particular day that my aunt had just came from DR and she brought these abuelitas that me and him love. We're obsessed with those chips from DR and they only ever sell it over there. So I was very excited for my aunt to bring this and I don't think I knew that she was gonna bring it. So I knew she was gonna bring something and I was excited anyway, but she brought hojuelitas for him and I, and it was a good amount of hojuelitas. So she gave it to me, and she was like, "Look, for you and your little brother." But she said his name. But yeah, so she was like, "For you and your little brother." And I took it, and I remember telling myself, "I'm gonna hide these because if I don't hide these, my little brother's gonna eat them." He was always that kind of person that he found something, he would eat it immediately. He knew it was mine, and he would eat it. We're siblings. It was just like siblings shit, you know? So, immediately my instinct was like, I'm gonna hide it. As soon as I said that I was gonna hide it because I didn't want him to eat it, my body went cold. And if I felt so weird. And I couldn't really understand why it felt that weird. Like it was just like it was just I feel like the perfect way to describe it is like, you know, when you're in a movie and something is about to happen and that sound is like, oh my God, I feel like I'm describing it horribly. But, you know, like in a movie when they're about to fight, like all those superheroes and blah, 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 and something happens and they're like, and everybody's like frozen in time. it was one of those moments that I felt in real life. And looking back now, by that point, he had already, and I didn't even know it. Is the weirdest thing ever I've ever been through. And I have so many stories, but it's so hard to share because I feel like that's such a sensitive topic for me. But yeah, trust your gut and trust the signs that are right in front of you because my body knew all along that this was going to happen.
A lot of the stories are so like I have mine, count mine for days. But I want to know your own story down in the comment section and your own thoughts about the people that share theirs. What are your own thoughts? Go down in the comment section and share yours, okay? But please, you guys know how we do it here on this channel. Share your thought, but please keep it respectful. You're on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. So go ahead, feel free and share your own thoughts, okay? So I personally, I believe strongly in your intuition. I, as growing up, was something that I knew intuition was very solid because that was something my dad capitalized on it. He knows it. Like my dad can get ready and say, okay, he's going somewhere, and just one thing, and he will sit there and tell you he's not going again. So from a very young age, I got like, intuition is something you should always listen to. But even at that, it was something that my coconut head sometimes just we just shake it up and all that. So I have so many for years that I can say, okay, my intuition was saying it. But there's one while I was watching this video that just keep coming to me was something that happened a couple of years ago. Then I was still working 9 to 5. I didn't have a car. The girl was broke, no car. If you know, the city of Lagos is one of, it's not what is the busiest. It's the busiest city in Africa. Okay, and it's really crazy. And that's the city I live in. So it's a really a chaotic city. So I didn't have a car. So I had to jump down for which I will live in pictures so that you guys have like a visual pictures of what I'm talking about. So I have to take down food to come to go around, go to work and back. So on this fateful day after work, I was back and I was at Oshodi. And you know, I'm calling this names for people that know this place so you have a good picture of it. So I was one of the busiest bus stop area in Lagos, and I just came down from the bus. I was supposed to take another bus to take me to the next destination I was getting into. So I went on, I sat on the bus, I was waiting for more passengers to come. It's a rush period, so definitely a lot of passengers were coming, close of work, obviously. So I went in, I sat down, and I was like just waiting. And all of a sudden, the bus was almost full. I was sitting right by the door of the bus. So the bus was almost full. Something, I don't know what it is, but my instinct, the conductor already asks all your change, all your things, like all the amount of money that you're going to give is because they will not give you change and all that. I already have my money in my hand. I sat down and I was ready to go. And all of a sudden, I don't know, something just stick me. I got irritated. I just jumped down. I just told him, I want to come down. So I came down from the bus. Talking about this, and I'm having goosebumps, literally. So I came down from the bus and I was like, da, 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 da. He was angry. Obviously, the bus conductor was very angry because now he has to wait for another passenger where he could have gone. So he was just like, madam, da, 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 da. Was just cussing me out. But me, I didn't care. I just came down and I went in front to take another bus. And mind you, when it's that rush period, one thing about me is that I just want to get home. So I'm usually like, I'm even the one rushing. But this time around, I left the bus that was already full, ready to go enter a bus that was still looking for passenger. And I sat down there, I waited, and that bus left. So my own bus was coming from behind. Less than 10 minutes into the drive, there was a commotion in front. Everybody was like, what was going on? What was going on? There was an accident. And I was like, oh. And mind you, before I came down, the person sitting in front of me was wearing a very bright yellow dress. And I could not miss it. Like, obviously, the color, you can't miss it. So I asked the woman to excuse me, and I came down. And as we were going down, we just saw the commotion and everything. And also, the conductor had this red shirts that he put on his shoulder. So there was some distinct thing that made me to just, and I'm not the type of person that I look at things, point things out like that easily. Like I'll just be going. I'm that type of person. So there was a lot of commotion, and people were there, and it happens to be that there was an accident in front, and everybody was like, "Hey, hey, help them, help them, help them!" And as my bus was going through, I looked at it. It was the woman with the yellow, bright yellow dress. She was lying on the floor. And what happened was that, okay, this is the picture. This is what happened. A container, God, a container, when I mean a container, you know those trailers that carry container, literally dropped on that bus. And the woman, I think because the woman was, I don't know how they were able to pull that woman that had that bright yellow dress. I saw the woman on the floor there. So that just clicked on me, and there were other talking about it. I'm having goosebumps, and it just making me get a lot emotional thinking that I could be there. People were trying to get as much, people tried to raise the container off the box and all that, but obviously blood everywhere. And seeing that scene, I was just shaky out. I burst into tears. I was crying out like I was supposed to be on that bus. I was supposed to be on that bus. I was supposed to be on that bus. And just looking how that could have been, like I would have just lost my life just there. But it was my intuition that told me like, girl, I still don't know that, like it's, I knew my intuition. I knew something was pushing me to get off that bus, but I didn't know it was my intuition was preventing something that horrible from happening to me. And that actually just led to a very big fear on me that I'm scared of containers. Like if I'm on the way, if I'm on the road and I'm driving, or I'm on any car, or even on the road, and anybody goes close to a container, it just put me on that serious panic. I think I have a PTSD on that thing, that myself and like I don't go well with containers. Like no, 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 no. I'll start. But that was my intuition, like literally saving my life. Or it's probably I won't be here today telling this story and all that. And this is why, like, people always listen to your intuition. Don't push it aside. Don't no. Always listen. Listen to that thing inside you. Always listen to it. It's saving you for something, it's protecting you from something, it's telling you something. A lot of time we push that aside. Even the lady that was talking about her being a baby and all that, that same thing happened to my family. When our last born was being born, when he was born, I remember as a baby, because like I said, I raised my younger ones. I'm their second mother, so he was with me, and on that night, he was crying, crying so hard. I don't know if I've said this a couple of times here on this channel. I'm from a polygamous home, so I have brothers and all that. So my mom lived in a different apartment from the other wives and all that. So yeah, it's a thing. So our last born was crying hell of a night all through the night. He was crying, he was unconsolable, he was just reckless. My mom wouldn't know what was wrong with him and all that. It happens to be the next morning we got a message that I lost my brother. And at the time frame they were saying, that was where he was struggling and battling for his life. It was around that time that my baby, but he was a baby, my baby brother was crying like so restless and all that. So I do get it. Children says a lot. Little babies are like, intuition is real. Some people will not like, but I believe in intuition and I believe in listening to it. Sometimes I can have a coconut head and don't listen to my intuition, but I try as much as possible to listen to it. Some people call it God's feeling, some people call it the Holy Spirit, but listen to it, guys. Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section, share your thoughts, share your story. Love to know yours down in the comment section, but please keep it respectful as always. Okay, share this video with someone that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversations. So go ahead and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see, and that'll be you supporting this channel and this girl here. So go ahead and do that. Okay, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.